everyone, and welcome. Another chapter, another edition. And today we have Scott in the house. Scott, tell us a little bit about you and how you help others.
Absolutely. So my name is Scott Maderer, and I am in Central Texas. I currently am full-time. I'm a coach. I run my own coaching business called Inspired Stewardship. I've been doing that since 2011. I started full-time since 2017. And as a stewardship coach, the way I tell people is I help folks master their time, their talent, and their treasures so that they can live out their calling. That means working with individuals, working with small business owners, helping them. Usually they come to me because they think they got a problem with their time or they've got a problem with their money. And then all we do is work on them.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. So you do a lot of different things with entrepreneurs, people that need you. So
Absolutely.
what would you say, first of all, about time, how you resolve their time issues?
So I think a lot of times people think they have a time problem. And, the most common excuse people will say is, I'm too busy to do that. We all use that word. I'm too busy. And busy's almost become a badge of honor where somebody says, how you doing? You go, oh, I'm busy. And they go, oh, yeah, I'm busy too. We just kind of pat each other on the it's so bad. Well, the real truth is we've all got the same amount of time. Time management is a myth. We don't manage time. What we manage is ourselves and the choices we make, the habits we have, the beliefs we have, the behaviors we have. We manage us. And so, as an example for time, what I try to teach people is stop looking at it as a time problem and start looking at it as a choice problem. Specifically, it's not your time, it's what you're prioritizing. So as an example, and I use this example to illustrate it for folks, imagine for a minute that you're sitting there in your cubicle and you're busy in your office and you're busy and you're typing away and someone walks in, one of your coworkers walks in and goes, hey, don't you have to leave to make it to your daughter's soccer game? And you look at your coworker and you go, yeah, I'm just too busy to make it to my daughter's soccer game tonight. Well, most of the time, then they're going to kind of sympathize with you and they're going, oh, I'm so sad. I'm busy. Too bad. All I do is you're no longer allowed to say I'm too busy to, or I don't have time to, or any of those things. Instead, what you have to say out loud is it's not a priority for me to. Is imagine all of a sudden you look at your friend or your coworker and you go, it's just not a priority for me to make it to my daughter's soccer game. Your coworker's probably going to smack you upside the head and go, what are you talking about? Shut the computer down. Get out of here. Go to the game. And a matter of fact, you would probably actually make a different decision if you said it that way out loud. But that's the real truth. Anytime you do something with time and allow yourself to say, I'm too busy to do this other thing, what you're really saying is whatever I'm doing is more important than the other thing. And by the way, if that's true, wonderful. Then you've prioritized the right thing. But when it's not true, you have to admit that and make different choices.
Absolutely. And you said a lot of different things, and I heard a lot of different things. And what I did hear is so true because we all do it. We've all done it. We'll all do it again. It's prioritize, it's being consistent, it's making those lists,
Mm-hmm.
it's staying on task, not going down a rabbit hole when you're on Facebook trying to do your work and then you and hours went by and you have no idea what you've gotten accomplished. Usually
Well,
nothing.
and it's paying attention to it. It's being intentional about what choices you make and how you do it. One of the reasons I work with time and money is so much of the decision making and the habits and the mindsets and the beliefs are honestly the same. We just may have one of those be more or less of an issue for us at a particular moment in time, but the underlying choices we're making are the same. Because you take from time, go to money. Same thing happens with money. If I'm spending my money on one thing, what I'm doing is saying whatever I'm spending my money on is more important than the other things I could spend my money on. It's the same thought process. It's just showing up in money or showing up in time, depending on the situation and the person.
And it goes back to that powerful word, prioritizing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Prioritizing. What is more important? If you'll keep that in mind each and every time, your priorities will be clear. That's
It,
what I have
right.
found.
It
Is
becomes a
keeping you
lot more
clear.
clear. Absolutely.
Yes. So to tease people just a little bit, if someone came to you and said, I have a time issue, what is the very first thing you might tell them?
Well, I'll give you something that actually anyone who says that to themselves right now, I'll give you something you can do right now. You don't even have to call me. Basically, the first thing to do is look at the reality of the situation. Because until you're aware of what's going on, you don't really make changes. So do a time audit. Well, what does that look like? Sit down, take a sheet of paper, put every 30 minutes from when you get up to when you go to bed down the left hand side of the paper, and set your watch or your phone to vibrate every 30 minutes. And every 30 minutes, when that little alarm goes off, just jot down next to that time slot what you did during that time slot. You don't have to be super detailed. This isn't about writing a 72-page book report. That's not the point, but just kind of capture the highlights. I was on Facebook for a little while. I answered a couple of emails. I went to the break room and got a cup of coffee. That's enough. You don't have to provide huge detail. Sit down and do that for a couple of days or a week, and then go back and look at it and start looking for patterns. What keeps showing up? I guarantee you that anyone that does this, that's never done it before or doesn't regularly track or monitor their time in some other way, you're going to be surprised. Both ways, good and bad. There will be things that you spend way more time on than you are aware of, and there will be things that you spent way less time on than you were aware of, because at the end of the day, most of us are really blind to time. We know it passes, but we really aren't aware of how it passes. You said it earlier. You get on Facebook, and before you know it, you look up and it's like, I've been on Facebook for 2.5 hours. How did that happen? Most of us do that with lots of different things. And again, both ways. There's things that we feel like take forever that really don't. And then there's things that we feel like we spend no time. Oh, I barely spend any time watching TV. And then you plot it and you go, wow, that's a lot more time watching TV than I thought, or whatever it is. It was different for
Right.
different people. And that's because we literally, the way our brains work, we measure time a lot of times not by the clock, but by the feeling. And so if I ask you to do something that you absolutely detest doing, it's your least favorite thing on the planet, man, 30 minutes doing that feels like forever. But if I give you something to do that you kind of are engaged with, and it's feeding the dopamine centers and your brain is entertained and whatnot, all of a sudden it feels like, oh, no time has passed at all. Same amount of time could pass, but it's the perception of it. We're really bad at knowing how time really passes. So first thing I do a time audit. Look at where your time is really going.
Oh, I love that. A time audit. So I ask each and every one of you that are watching this right now, watching it later on the recording, is go ahead and do your audit and reach out to me or Scott and let's look at it. I would love to see how many really takes the time to do the audit, because I can tell you, Scott, majority of people are going to say, oh, I don't have time to do the audit.
Yep. And that's the truth, though, is it doesn't take that long. That's what feels it really and truly. You're talking about investing. Let's say it takes you a minute to write. And by the way, a minute's probably too long. It probably takes you less than that. But let's give you a minute. And you write down half an hour. So 12-hour day, that's or that's 12 hours. That's 24 half hours. At most, that's less than half an hour at a minute each time. So it's not going to be a lot of time. So if you choose to not do it, it's really not about the time it takes. Again, you're making a choice that this is not a good way to spend those 24 minutes. Okay. Absolutely. If that's the choice you make, that's the choice you make. That's your choice. You have the power of choice.
The power of choice. And I've heard so often, we never get more time. Nope. It's all about what we do with the time that we have. Do we need to get rid of some things that we do or limit the time that we spend on them? Maybe instead of watching TV every night for 3 hours, maybe we only do it 2 hours a night and we straighten up and do the housework that we need to do. after we've worked all day. Because
Mhm.
I hear a lot of people say, I don't have time to clean my house or do my laundry, and it's just stacking up. But we do have the time. We just have to figure out the plan when it's going to happen.
Now, again, time is a finite resource. We only have 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week. That's the math. Now, obviously, there are things you can do to leverage time. Okay, either by doing things, I could spend a little bit of time that makes everything else easier. Okay, that would be leveraging time. I can leverage time by I can pay someone else to do something. I can spend money to gain back some time. All of those are things that we can do. But again, doing them requires being aware of, hey, I'm going to make a trade off here. In this case, I've decided that money is less important than the time I get back. So I'm going to pay someone to come in and do my laundry. I'm going to pay for a laundry service to pick up my bag of laundry, take it off, wash it, fold it, bring it back, and put it on my front doorstep. And that, for me, that's worth the time and money. That may be true. For somebody else, though, that's like, oh, no. I need the money more than I need the time. Okay, great. So the reason why I point this out is so often we hear somebody who's like, oh, this is what I do to leverage my time, or this is what's important to me. And we go, oh, okay, that's what I should be doing. Maybe, but again, this is where I come in sometimes as a coach, and it's like, it's not one size fits all. A lot of times there's a lot more nuance to it,
Yes.
because you are a different person at a different point in your life than somebody else, with different priorities, with different choices, with different values, different relationships, whatever it is. You could just be a different phase of life. My wife and I are empty nesters now. Guess what? We have things that we can do now that were really hard to do when we had a young kid at home. This is the reality of the fact that we're in a different phase of life. Yes. We get to go for ice cream at 10:30 at night if we choose to.
Yes. When you brought that up, I go back to my kids have been out of the house for a while now. I have 2 grown daughters and 4 grandchildren. But I remember when our youngest daughter reached getting ready to go to 6th grade, 7th grade, she was leaving 6th grade. So she was leaving elementary school, going to middle school. And I used to volunteer a lot at the school. And I worked at home, and I would go there several hours a week and help out and have lunch with her and do all the mom things that, I wanted to do, and I had time to do it.
Right.
But one day I was looking at the secretary in the office, and I said, what in the world am I going to do once the baby goes off to middle school? Because, they don't want you there for lunch anymore. They don't want to see you at school anymore once they hit middle school. The majority of kids, I think, is that way. I know my daughters were both that way. Mom, I've had you now for a while. You can go. And one thing the secretary did is she looked at me and she says, now you're going to have time to meet your husband again. He was busy volunteering for sports, and I'm busy at the school volunteering. When did we really have time for us? And again, it's what was priority for us
at those moments,
and what we made at that time in our life. Now we just hit retirement time, Scott. So we're going through a transition with
that. Another set of transitions. Yep.
He has retired, and I've been semi-retired for several years now. But having him home every day has been a time change for us. Mm-hmm. It's been a money change for us. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to figure it all out. I want to go to just a few minutes. I would like to go to time management with an entrepreneur. The reason I want to bring this up is that I know that my audience, a lot of them are entrepreneurs. And I know I went through this, and I know a lot of people have went through it, are getting ready to go through it, and don't know if they want to do it, don't know if they can afford to do it, is you need help. You can't be the secretary, you can't be the banker, you can't be the accountant, you can't be the salesperson, and blah, blah. But every entrepreneur tries to do everything themselves because they don't think they can afford to hire an assistant. And let me tell you, the best thing I ever did for my business and for myself is hire an assistant. And I was so scared to do it, Scott. I still remember it to today. But can I afford it? Because the bank account goes back and forth, and every month
Yep.
is a little different. It's not a paycheck. It doesn't come in the mail or show up at the bank every other Friday or every first of the month. It's when you work your business, you get paid to work your business.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you have to say to an entrepreneur that's trying to figure out if they can afford an assistant?
There's a lot that goes into that because it is, first off, there is a money side, right? You want to just look at the numbers. What are the real numbers for my business? And by the way, that's again, I see a lot of small business folks, especially entrepreneurs, when they first get started. Real truth is they have no earthly idea what their numbers are. They know money's coming in and they know money's coming out. That's about it. That's kind of the limit of their knowledge. And so it really is, again, doing an audit, the same thing we talked about with time, but with money, where you're looking at what is your revenue, what is your expenses, what is your margin, what is your overhead, what are your fixed costs versus your variable costs, all of that sort of stuff. And again, get some help with that. If that's not an area that's your strength, that's fine. But first is just kind of a money audit, figuring out, is the revenue there to support bringing on a VA, an employee, whatever. That's kind of the math side. But there's also kind of an emotional side to it. And so one of the things I've had entrepreneurs, and again, I'm going to give you an exercise, entrepreneurs out there, take out another sheet of paper and you can do this activity along with us too. Divide it into 4 columns. Okay. And in the first column is things that you love doing. And you, as the owner, as the founder, as the operator, this is stuff that it belongs to you. You need to be the one that does it. So for me as a coach, I should be doing the coaching because that's at least for me, that's the way I've set up the business. I'm the face. When you call me as a coach, you expect to get me. So that would go in that column as an example. It's the stuff that you should be doing and you love doing it. Okay. Second column, things that you should be doing. They belong to you as the owner, like, I don't know, looking at your numbers and knowing what your money is, but maybe you don't like doing it so much. It's I should be doing it and I don't like it column. And again, part of this is awareness. Then the next 2 columns is things I shouldn't be doing as the owner. It doesn't have to be me. Maybe I'm doing it today, but somebody else could do this. Answering emails, scheduling things on a calendar, even doing your bookkeeping could be somebody else's job. So it's not the awareness of the money, it's the actual mechanics of writing checks and sending bills and invoicing people. Well, that could be okay. So anything that could be somebody else is going to be the next 2 columns. And again, it's going to be things I love doing, but somebody else could do, and things I don't love doing, somebody else could do. Because here's the thing, that last column, things I don't love doing that somebody else could do, that's usually the first and easiest thing to outsource. Anything that's in that column, your bang for the buck a lot of times is pretty high because it frees up time, and it frees up time that is the time that you don't want to be spending anyway. You hate this. So let's do that first. That other column, things I love doing, but somebody else should be doing it, that's the hardest column to give up. Those are the tasks that as an entrepreneur, we will hang on to way longer than we should. And it will actually prevent our growth. It's the lid that oftentimes keeps the business from reaching another level. And so I want you to be aware of that column so you can begin to look for opportunities to outsource that column. And again, it's challenging. It's hard because guess what? Nobody else can do it as good as you. Yes. By the way, that may or may not be true, but that's what you believe. Right. And you're like, nobody else can do it. You know what? Yeah, but if somebody else could do it even 90% as good as you, does the time you gain back to be able to spend time in those first 2 columns, the stuff that has to be you, makes that where now all of a sudden you can make more bang for the buck. you can make more money because you're spending time and energy and effort and attention on the very stuff that has to be you. Again, when we first start out, we're doing all 4 columns, period. That's the reality. But you are right that most businesses, many at least, reach a point where beginning to outsource some of those other 2 columns, the don't like to do and shouldn't be doing, and the love to do and shouldn't be doing, starts to be the very thing that holds the business back from growth.
Absolutely. I know, for example, for my business is I should not be doing my financial part. Right. Because I have no clue. And I used to be a math teacher, but I have no clue when it comes to the IRS and paying the sales tax and all. And you know what, Scott, I really don't want to know. Right. I don't want to know. Let someone else do that.
Right. And as the owner, you still want to know about the picture of it. So you still have to have awareness. It's not ignorance. But the mechanics of making all of that stuff happen and making sure the right piece of paper is filed at the right office at the right time, that doesn't have to be you.
And I used to be one of those people that money was coming in and the bills were being paid and there was a little bit left, or maybe some months a lot, but usually a little bit.
So everything's fine.
I was happy, but I had no clue how much money was really coming in and how much money's really going out. And let me tell you, a lot of times, I don't think I'm the only oddball out there that has done this. Do you know how many $10 goes here and $12 goes there and 15 goes there? Because you're paying for different things that you think you need. But let me tell you what, Scott, I figured out every month I need to do a survey. I don't think the word is survey, but I need to figure out what are those little numbers for that's on the bank account. Because sometimes we think we need this, but then our business outgrows that and we got this to cover this. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now we don't need both.
We were using one particular system to book people on a calendar. Let's just pick on that. And now we've added another tool that has some other bells and whistles because we needed those other bells and whistles, but it also has scheduling and we're using that, but we're still paying for the first tool, Yes. And it's, most people, I've seen people on average save about, entrepreneurs here, I'm talking to business people, save around $400 a month on average. Okay. So some people it's zero, but some people it's $1,800, $2,000 a month going out on stuff that when they really do a good audit and look at what they're using and what they're paying for, there's a bunch of overhead a lot of times that they're like, oh, I've already got a tool that does that. I'm paying for 2 tools that do the same thing. Well, I don't need one of them. Let me get rid of one, unless maybe there's a reason I do need 2, but at least you figure out, do I really need both of these or not? And cut it back.
I just had my assistants. I have a couple of assistants that do different things at different times for me. And one of my assistants came to me, my videographer, and she's like, we need this tool. And this tool is going to cost this amount of money per month. And I'm like, you know what I told her, Scott? What tool can we get rid of then?
Right.
I need you to find a tool that you don't need that we can cancel, and then we can bring on the new one, because it adds up. If you did it 1 month, I'm going to tell you, viewers, go do it. At the end of the month of January, go figure out go through your bank statement and go and find all these little amounts. And it's going to add up to, I know the first time I did it, I saved over $200. I'm like, why am I paying that membership? I haven't been to that group in a year.
Right.
I don't even want to go, it doesn't fit my schedule.
It's not even something I'm interested in doing anymore.
Exactly. So I can get rid of that $37 a month. $37 right there. Oh, well, I did this video thing and I did this video thing. I did this video thing. They're all only like $10 each, but Scott, that's $30.
Right.
And I only need one of them. So now,
depending on the size of your business, it's different amounts of money, but it's, for most of us, It's just overhead. It's just, again, we pick things up. Happens in time, happens in money. You've got commitments on your calendar that you made a commitment to 6 years ago. That group that you're talking about, you keep going to that group every week because you've been going every week. And you may have outgrown that group. That group may not serve you anymore. Maybe there's taking that hour that you spend with that group would be better spent somewhere else. So whether it's time or whether it's money, doing these periodic audits where you look down and you look at the reality and you just admit the reality and go, and then you make a decision. Is this worth it or not? And if the answer is yes, great, keep doing it.
Yes.
But if the answer is no, great, get rid of it.
Exactly. You have to make choices, but you are a business owner. You're a big girl or a big boy now. So go ahead and react to what you need to react to and get rid of it or keep it. But now it's all about the knowing. Scott, I could talk to you for hours about this because money and time are so crucial in our everyday lives. It affects us mentally and physically if we let it.
It touches every area of your life, really.
Every area, personal and business. And in the old days, people would say, well, you have to divide your home from your business. Well, I'm an entrepreneur and a coach that tells you they both go together. If you don't have money at home, you probably have no money in your business. And vice versa.
And
if the kids are sick and you have to go to work, it's going to affect your day at work.
Yeah, you have to admit that they affect each other. Absolutely.
Yes, it is all one bundle. So make sure you're making those good choices. And guys, I can't wait to get you to the next step of your time and your money. Scott, thank you so much for being here with us today. And until next time,